Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the Six Nations. This one at Murrayfield, Scotland versus France. And the maths is very simple. If France win this game with a bonus point, they have won the Six Nations with still one round remaining. In the competition, Ireland, they were able to get themselves the win over Wales. That puts them currently in second on 14 points. But the French, they have been phenomenal throughout this season with their 3 wins from 3, points differential of plus 89. So even if this game was just a win to France, the chance for Ireland to win the Six Nations from there would involve them having to beat Scotland by probably around 70 or 80, if not even more than that, points heading into that final round. But then I guess it all depends on what happens with France versus England. So there's still a little bit of an outside chance. But like I said, guarantee for France to win the Six Nations if they manage to win this game with the bonus point. But the Scots, of course, will not want that to happen. They were victorious in their last game that they played up against the Welsh, but starting lineup is looking stacked for both of these teams, in fact. And kickoff is only around 8 minutes away, but looking through at the starting lineup for Scotland, it is Pierre Schoeman, George Turner and Darcy Ray as the front row. Gregor Brown and Scott Cummings in the locking duo with Matt Fagerson, Rory Darge and Jack Dempsey there as the number 8, Ben White and Finn Russell. Now, Russell versus Jalabert. It's going to be an incredible head-to-head because that's two of the most attacking fly halves in World Rugby today going face-to-face in what could be either a very open game or both sides will try their absolute best to just shut down the backline of the others, but there's some very good try-scoring threats across both of the backlines. Kyle Steyn out on the left wing, Sione Tuipulotu, the captain, in the midfield alongside Hugh Jones, Darcy Graham on the right wing, and Blair Kinghorn closes out the Scottish lineup as the number 15. For the French, Jean-Baptiste Grue, Julio Monchamp, and Dorian Aldeigri as the 3. Charles Olivant again finds himself in the locking duo for this contest alongside Michael Gilliard, Francois Creux, Oscar Jagu, and Anthony Gelange. He is there as the number 8. Antoine Dupont at 9, partner with Matthew Jalabert. Was that late injury change in the last contest that did take place for the French, and Ramos actually did a pretty handy job in that 10 jersey. France still showing exactly what they can do in the Six Nations comp with a great win over the Italians. Louis Bielbiaré, they will want to shut him down early for the Scottish side, and Darcy Graham as the man who will be predominantly marking up with him. Mofana and Deportier as the midfield, with Adesogby back on the right wing and Thomas Ramos back in the 15 jersey for this contest. We have got the I felt so bad for you, buddy, last night. It was bad luck, says Robert. It was a little bit. It was also a phenomenal game in the end in terms of the scoreline between the Reds and the Brumbies by the looks of it. So normally what happens is when we don't do a game, it's a close one. And that trend has kind of continued for Super Rugby this year. Go Scotland, go Italy. Says Sakabola, and hello everyone. Vive la France, says Young. Will it be a triple crown of British losses this weekend, says Mo. Very tricky to tell. And I feel like this game's got a couple little surprises in it. I would like to think, because it's at Murrayfield rather than it being in France, it should be relatively competitive. Now, it all depends on how aggressive Scotland turn up to play, but there's a chance. You know, if they can sneak a narrow victory, their Six Nations campaign is well and truly still alive. Looking through at the table once again, if Scotland win this game, and if they win it after scoring 4 tries, you know, they could be on 16 points. Somehow, they could actually sit in first place heading into the final round. They will be playing Ireland, so that game will become even that much more influential on the Six Nations outcome. But I believe that there are probably 5 nations hoping to see Scotland win this game. In France, they are the lone side who would much rather just get the win, get the bonus point, and have this competition in the bag heading into next week up against the English side. But looking through at the last round of the Six Nations, Ireland were able to get themselves a great win over the English, so we'll take a big performance from England later on to beat the Italians. But still, if they do, their Six Nations is theoretically still slightly up for grabs as well. Scotland beating the Welsh in a close game at the Principality Stadium. Now, Tuipulotu said it best, how his side could never underestimate the Welsh because of what their record looks like when playing in Wales. 33 points to 8. A good win for France in the end. Italy kept that game close. That seems to be a trend that a lot of sides have followed with France. They can keep it close enough, but then it just goes downhill when the French find their rhythm, and then those tries do start flowing for Les Bleus. Before that, though, we had a few more exciting games for Scotland. They were defeated in the opening round up against the Italians, and how different this game could have looked had they been able to get themselves, let's say, the 3-point in their favour victory for the Scots in that game. 31-20 up against the English, and then the narrow victory up against the Welsh. So some pretty close games for Scotland overall, but just letting that first one up against the Italians slip due to a pretty poor performance, but also an Italian side that were up for the fight, made it a very entertaining matchup. And that's probably, I would say, not top three in terms of performance per se, but top three result-wise in the Six Nations in terms of what has influenced the outcome of this contest. Ireland versus France, that opening contest also would have to be put in there purely because of the way that France were able to win that game, stopping any sort of bonus point for Ireland as well there. But currently the French national anthem being sung at Murrayfield, and then we will be underway. I've been waiting all day for this stream to start. Thank you, Hamish, says Robert, and we have still got plenty more that will be taking place in the near future. We've got the game around the corner, Italy versus England, and then a whole day of sevens to look forward to. And there as well, France will run away with the Six Nations trophy. But yeah, all they need is that bonus point victory. And I know that sounds quite substantial, definitely with the fact that they are away from home. But in reality, 4 tries and a win, that is all that it is required for this French team. And there have not been any games so far that they haven't been able to score the 4 tries, whether they are at home or whether they're on the road. In this competition, your partner last night did not want to give me his input on the rice price in Pakistan. Rice actually got brought up on that live stream. I don't know whether or not you were there for it, Martin. But yeah, someone recommended, because his laptop was playing up, they recommended to soak it in rice. And I cracked up and couldn't stop laughing. Scotland to do this job, says one Pierre Bosch. Well, the thing is, and it's happened quite a few times, the reality for Scotland here is they choose their own fate. Because if they want a chance of winning the Six Nations comp, which I can tell you right now this group of players certainly do, they have to win this game. That's the reality of this. Because next week they have to go away from home at the Aviva and get the win there too. But if they can get the win here, that is the first stepping stone. Just showing there the youngster Freddie Douglas. He's got a lot of hype around him. He's coming off the bench as at number 20 in this contest for Scotland, but they have got a stacked bench themselves, France. It's been a pretty well set one too. Not a lot of changes overall for the bench of the French. We have got their, Scotland will play their skins off today. I think that's what, like I said, 5 nations out of the 6 are hoping for. I want Scotland to win this as an All Black supporter. Says Whit there. How many minutes till kickoff? We've got like 2. We've got the Scottish national anthem that is just being sung now, and then we're underway for this contest. But the Scots look determined. And of course, do let me know your score predictions. Can they do it? If it was ever going to be a location to do it at, though, it would be at Murrayfield. They have got a decent record up against the French. Normally, games are kept close at this location. France have gone with one of their strongest lineups because they know that this is the type of game that they need to fire from the get-go. Can't afford to allow any chance for Scotland to think they've got a big opportunity of winning this game. Because with the passion of the crowd, that might just carry them over the line. If Scotland played like they did against England, they will win, says Claus. As soon as the game starts, I'm going to sleep until maybe 8 or 9 hours till the game is uploaded on Rugby 24, and then I'll watch it from there, says Tanner 2. 8 to 9 hours. The reality is we're still going to be live on the channel at the time after you sleep, Tanner. So be sure to pop in and say hi if you do feel like it. It will be around lunchtime here in New Zealand. We will be covering, at that stage, probably Fiji versus Argentina. Tough match coming, but I'm back in France. Always hard at Murrayfield, says Gunner. And Craig from St Francis Bay is here too. Hi, Hamish, says Darren. Come on, Scotland, says Dennis. They're just showing the lineups. Tom Jordan off the bench. George Horn there too to bring a bit of impact. Grant Gilchrist, Sander Fagerson. I have to say this Scottish side Got a few handy names later on for this matchup, but they have to get the job done early. Get those points on the board. It's free on BBC website with a UK VPN. Says, I am Nutty, and when are you bringing back the Blazers, mate? It's been pretty warm here in New Zealand, so I'll be sweating my backside off with the blazer on today. But tell you what, if it ends up in the scenario that France don't win with a bonus point here, and the Six Nations theoretically can still be won by someone else in the next round, we might bring the shirt and tie out for next round. I was so disappointed for Wales yesterday. They need to keep going that direction. I really am hoping for a Scotland win today, but it will be a hard task, says Mike. And the sad thing for Wales is they've been so close, and they've shown a lot of heart throughout the Six Nations. I think actually more heart than we've seen from any other competition in the last couple of years. But the problem is results. And you look at the points differential, people would say, oh, same old Wales. But I don't think that's been the case. I think that they've had a couple one-sided games, don't get me wrong, but they've gotten stronger as this competition's worn on, and they've made some good sides look pretty ordinary throughout the last rounds. But it's kicked off by Scotland, kicked off by France, who are wearing the white for this matchup, and we are underway at Murrayfield for a game that can determine, and most likely will determine, the Six Nations competition. Only 20 metres out from their line in the starting lineup for today. Ben White is playing as the 9. Back into the pocket to Finn Russell. He is unpredictable, so much so that he doesn't even know what he's going to do until he does it. Going up for that ball and kick downfield for Scotland. It's off the boot of Blair Kinghorn. Actually gave it the half volley there. Ramos, tackled low by Darcy Graham, trying to get back on side. I don't know if he quite went through the gate. It is still on the side of the French and Antoine Dupont. Thanks for your great commentary. Greetings from Cape Town, Scotland for a win. Says Penelope there. And Wales is improving definitely. Yeah, I think that they've looked, I would say, better throughout the Six Nations in almost the whole of the last 12 months in a way. Which sounds harsh on their performances, but I don't know. They looked like they had a chance up against Ireland. They looked like they had a very good chance up against the Scots. And then even up against the French up until just one big mistake. They were in that contest. Finn Russell now running it straight sideways. Trying to spin there was Jack Dempsey and also trying his best not to get isolated. But Mikel Gilliard almost was able to get that steal. Loose ball. Darcy Ray still hanging on to it here for Scotland though. Jean-Baptiste Grue. Some pretty solid forwards out there for the French. Mikel Gilliard, he has been one of the breakthrough players for this French side throughout the last 12 or so months. Now rolling this one back, Ben White again going aerial with this ball. I'm back on your stream for a long time. I wasn't on your stream, but let's go Scotland, says Yucca. Well, it is great to have you back. Nice take from Theo Adesogby. And looks like, again, Dupont just patient in the breakdowns. It does seem like both sides, it could be a case of who makes that one less mistake. Love from Ireland. Are you the man? Says Colm there. And for Ireland's sake in the Six Nations, they need Scotland to get over the line here just to then beat them next week. So it's a bit of a weird reality of the Six Nations. How 1 week the side needs to win, and the next week you hope when you're playing them that they do anything but. I almost said George Horn, but Ben White, I think he was calling for the penalty there, going away to the right-hand side. A big spot tackle made by Deportier. That one's gone backwards. Mention Angus Gardner, the referee in charge of this contest, the Australian. Told to use it, Finn Russell. He looks like he's going to go for what looked like a box kick for a second, but didn't quite have the time to be able to do so. Now Ben White is there, and he will go for the kick himself. England have never beaten Italy in any comp, and they never will, says Sebastian. Oh, drop ball from Ramos, looking straight into the sun. And a real mistake made by the number 15 for France. He was playing 10 in the last contest up against the Italians, but that is big mistake number 1, I would say, between these two sides. Is it live? It is indeed. Currently 3.5 minutes through this contest, and Scotland will have themselves the first scrum early on this match at Murrayfield. France won at Murrayfield in 2022 and 2024, I believe, were the two stats that they've just shown there. So was 2022 when it was really close, though, going right down to the wire with the last-minute try? Is that the game where they tried like a wide cut out pass for some reason. Or was that the year prior? That might have been in France. My South African crew, love your channel, Hamish. Says Craig, and it is, of course, greatly appreciated. We have got some URC coming next week, which will involve a South African derby on the cards, as well as the sevens with the blitz box happening in only about 5 hours' time. Big run from Hugh Jones goes through a gap, feeds it off to Blair Kinghorn, but Scotland on the attack inside of the 22. Good offload from Russell. Now, White goes to Darcy Ray. 4.5 minutes into the game. Scotland, if they can get a quick fire start and score before the first 10 minutes, would be massive for them, but it was a brilliant run from Hugh Jones. There's drop ball from Russell. Look forward to Graham if it's not. It is a try to Scotland. They will have to check that last pass though, but Graham's fired up. So is Scotland. It was Russell initially who dropped it. They ruled it as backwards. But there's quite a few little bits and bobs, I believe, that the TMO will have to check here to make sure that it's all okay. Love Darcy. And yeah, I feel like that try for Darcy Graham, it's got to feel good because you look at the year, even just last year that man had, involving the British and Irish Lions call-up to end up with the injury. Even in terms of Scotland minutes, he's been a bit light. That pass did go backwards. From that angle, it shows it. And Darcy Graham gets the first try of the contest. Scotland's fortune versus France has all been in Paris. Whose scrum's better, Hamish? Who's more powerful of these two teams? Well, Scotland were able to retain their first scrum, which is a bonus. No advantage going their way from said scrum. And Finn Russell adds the additional 2. Scotland up 7-0. And we have got there Scotland showing up today. The game is definitely on. And this is the dream start for Scotland, because if you let France score early, straight away you just lose the momentum. Some sides drop their heads a little bit and they go, this is going to be a long day at the office. Do you stream Supersport Schools? I do not. I don't think they actually show it here in New Zealand. I think it's exclusively on Supersport. Jack Dempsey claims that ball just outside of the 22 for Scotland. I think if you had asked the Scottish side what was the dream start in this game, scoring within 5 minutes certainly would have been right up there. But the dream finish to this game is to have more points than France at the end of the day, and also a bonus point intact. But of course, if you can just get the win here, that is the starting point. Scotland will not want to get too greedy. They'll just want to make sure that the win is on the cards, rather than taking too many risks. But Jalibert goes across into the midfield, finds Cruz. 47% of the poll think Scotland are going to win. What are you guys smoking? Well, they're leading at the moment 7-0. So they're not doing too bad so far. Advantage going the way of France, though. That is the last thing that Scotland can afford, that old discipline. Now Charles Olivon. Off to the left-hand side. Dupont. Just trying to find a little bit of space on the attack at the moment for the French. Adesogbi plays half, goes to Ramos. Skip past to Bielbiaré. He is so dangerous. Tries to chip him behind. And Scotland, they managed to take him out. Blair Kinghorn runs it into touch. Now, this is quite interesting because France had the penalty. And what will happen here, I believe, is France will opt to go for their line out, which will be 5 metres from the line. So that's actually going to be a better situation. I think Kinghorn was waiting for the referee to blow his whistle, although there was really nowhere for Kinghorn to go. Yeah, we see the collision between Russell and Bielbiaré. Russell definitely put the hip out a bit further than he normally would, but it was also still within his right to be able to brace for impact. We are not live on Twitch, no. Okay, are you in or out, says the referee, for that line out of Scotland. But they did opt for going with the 5 metre line out here. Adam Hastings' dad scored a last gasp winner in Paris. Unforgivable, says Eric. Now rolling more here for France. They are dragged down. About 4 metres out, and unplayable is the call. Scotland win the penalty. Well, not the penalty, but they win the scrum. And that is the first attack of the French. It has been shut down by Scotland. Come on, France, says Christopher. Where are you reading the other comments from? They're just all through YouTube. Maybe you've got it set to live chat rather than all chat, I would say, is the potential there. We see it. Cummings goes through the middle and just was not going to be letting that one down without having a grasp on the ball. I think the Scottish commentator was saying that there could have been a penalty against Scotland and said rolling ball position at the moment, 65% for the Scots Ireland, says top there. And yeah, Ireland will be watching on this game, cheering Scotland on to then, like I said, try and beat them next week. How do I change that? I think it's in the top section. If you're on, much easier to do if you're on PC, there's a little arrow that says live chat and then the arrows to the right of it. You click that and you go to all chat and you should have everything. That is a penalty to Scotland, 5 metres out from their line. This will reprieve a lot of the pressure and allow them to get down the field. And solid D from Scotland, says SoCal Dreaming. And that's the thing. With this French side, you cannot afford one defensive blunder because as soon as you do, they score. And we've seen it throughout the Six Nations competition. Sides do very nicely. They can keep France out for a while. But as soon as you have that one missed tackle, even BLBRA, probably perfect example in this match. As soon as he got any sort of space down the wing, he just flew. So for Scotland, it's the little victories throughout this game that they have to really make sure they're winning. And that should, in the end, potentially lead to a win, but it's not going to be easy. Hello from Cuba, says Gwyn there, welcome in. I know you need to change top chat to live chat, says Ander. Okay, so it's slightly different for me because I can switch it to all chat as the button that I have. Maybe that's just through the control option. But now going off to the left-hand side, attack and run from George Turner. That is one thing that a lot of these Scottishmen, if that's the thing, Scottish have, is that pace off the mark. Ewan Ashman is the same for their hookers. Now Finn Russell delays the pass, goes to Sione Tuipulotu, cutting back in, gets taken down by Gilliard. 25 metres out from the line. Dempsey can't get through Olivon. Now Pierre Schoolman. In White, away to Russell again, delays the pass a little bit too much and just missing the fly kick there for Louis Bielbiaré. That was the difference between a full-field try and missing out. There's just a knock-on from Scotland. There was the interception. But now they have to run back to where it was. And I believe it will be the scrum for France. They are so good that it's insane, says Tanner too. Yeah, and the perfect example of that was that Adam Beard grubber that he tried. Wales were in that game, tried the grubber, and it was a lock who tried it as well, we should mention. And then from there, just breaking through, Jalibert scores, and from there it was all downhill for Wales in the second half. What do you get? Crossing Jalibert and Bielbiaré, Jaliberi Belly, says user. And I should have died today, Hamish. Not for today, no. It's too warm here in New Zealand at the moment. I didn't really want to be sitting here sweating all throughout these streams. So I just got the shirt on for now. But I did say that if Scotland win this game and the Six Nations is on the line for the last round, we'll probably bring out the shirt and tie next week, seeing as it's not supposed to be as warm. Scotland win by 8. Oh, see, that would be interesting because theoretically, that would cut away 1 bonus point from France. Is that also that France don't score a bonus point for that prediction, Hobbit, or you're just hopeful that 8 will be the start of it anyway? Big push in the scrum of France, but the far side, they did come up, so the referee will call for the reset. I thought it only rained in New Zealand. No, it's been pretty warm today. I think the real feel was about 30 degrees Celsius, which for us is very warm. Right, it's freezing in New Zealand, says Double Fizzle. Which part of New Zealand are you in, Double Fizzle? Because today it's been brutal. All I'll say is normally playing cricket, we don't have like drinks or anything like that, not a huge amount, but today I specifically was 12 man to run the drinks because of the heat. Shirt and tie for Kiwis versus India in the final. I hadn't even thought about that, to be fair. It is quite a big match though, isn't it? So maybe a shirt. I think I've got it ironed so that it's all sorted. I have to find the tie. Going off to the right-hand side. Jalibert goes across to the right. Mofana now linking up nicely on the outside with Ramos moving up to the halfway line for the French. No penalty advantage from that scrum time. Jalibert with the Waikato pass to Theo Sogby, running down the wing, ball on the inside to Bielbiare, but he's let it slip through the fingers. It's a slight error from Bielbiare for the second time in this contest. And I can't see how the Scots will hang with the French for the full 80. That's where the crowd and the belief for Scotland come into it. Because I agree, it's going to be a monumental performance if they can. And France normally find their rhythm as a match wears on, as we saw up against the Italians. Big run here from Ramos, looking for a bit of a crossfield kick. This one's going to pull up just inside of the in-goal area, forced down by Finn Russell. Will become the goal line dropout. Have you lost your only tie, then you would have a problem. I've got about 10, so it will just depend on what one we go with. I think the classic one from memory is just the blue one, isn't it? That's the one that we have. That would have actually worked quite well for this game, seeing as both sides wear blue. Although you wouldn't actually be able to see it. It would be underneath the scoreboard with the new layout. Now kick downfield. Bounces to Anthony Gelange, who builds up a head of steam to run straight at Ferguson, who bends him over. Well, that didn't sound right, but he forces him backwards. Now Jalibert, Ramos, goes to Arasogby. Dupont, away to Jalibert. Now Gelange. I would say low tackle from Gregor Brown, but it was more so Olivon just ran into the legs of Gregor Brown and kind of forced himself down. France numbers on this left-hand side, tackled by Jones. Quickly used by Antoine Dupont, trying to sneak a couple of extra metres. What power that is from Ben White. Almost turned it into a rolling maul with some halfback-on-halfback violence. 12 metres out. Still moving forward with Marchand. And this is where the crowd again start to get a little bit louder, knowing how crucial a turnover could be in this scenario. Jagu moves to 7 out. Dupont. Oh, almost a knock on. I think it went backwards though. Jalibert tries to grub her. Sogby got a hand to it, but it will bounce over his head. And it becomes a scrum feed for Scotland. Just out from their line again. What's up, Hamish from Nashville? And the USA says by... What time is it in Nashville at the moment? Is it? I always get my time zone wrong. About 9 p.m.-ish. Is that correct? Is that score ever delayed? Sometimes. We had one earlier on how it wouldn't take away the Irish try, and then eventually Wales scored, and it waited like 5 minutes to give it to them. What do you call a Kiwi with tin ties? As in like ties to the metal, or is like as in like tin, like made out of what's a tin tie? And 8:30 a.m. Oh, okay, so I was miles off. I went the wrong way in the time zones. And the defendant says random ball. Now scrum feed for Scotland 5 metres out from their try line. It's a difficult position on the field to be. And ball finally fed in. This one's curling sideways at scrum time, but Sione Tuipulotu, nice sell on a dummy to make a few extra metres for Scotland. Although the ball's been turned over. Jagu, Jalibert, chance here for France out wide. Bielbiare scores. That is the danger of this French side. It literally takes them 5 seconds to go from looking like they're going to have to defend to then scoring themselves. And so it begins, says Sebastian. And I'll broadcast as AI, Sunshine in Scotland. You can't fool us. Who do you think wins this? I think that's a very big mistake there. Although, they might try and argue head-on-head between Tuipulotu and Antoine Dupont. I think he strips it. Was Tuipulotu down at the time? There's a few things that could also be checked here in this situation, because if Tuipulotu's knee was down, would have been an illegal strip from Dupont. So we might get to see that one again, although they are showing the highlight of this pass from Jalibert. You said you had 10 ties. Oh, okay, I get it now. Accent thing. And no try, says Stephen. And also we have got there Scotland at Summer 2, usually once a year on a Wednesday, says Double Fizzle. Right, they are checking this one. Couple things to look over. Brett Cronin, the man in charge of this one in the TMO department. So first of all, they will check to see whether or not Dupont tackle wasn't complete. So it is a try for France. And regardless, that shows how strong Dupont is. Says Fleshin, if you strip it forward, is it a knock-on? I think if you are, because the way that Dupont fell, he ended up with it behind him, didn't he, at the time of ripping it? So I think it probably cancels itself out and just becomes play on. Are you doing the T20 Cricket World Cup final tomorrow? I am. I'm quite excited for it, although I'll be honest, it's going to be a pretty tough one for the Black Caps. Just like this game will be for Scotland now. The score sitting 7-all, and Biel Biarray has got a stock standard compulsory try. Yeah, so it's actually... Oh. Yeah, from that angle, he didn't actually have as much control of it as I thought, Antoine Dupont. But he was the one who was grounded, not Tui Pelotu in that case. Oh, drop ball from Dupont. This one also goes backwards. And that one is kicked into touch. It's balmy 8 degrees in Edinburgh for them. That's a heat wave. And Vive la France, says Tom Butler. And tries to see SoCal dreaming and go the Black Caps. Good thing he had a bye against the Proteas. Yeah, although, that's the thing. Is that a good thing when you really think about it? Would it be maybe been better if it was a close game for the Black Caps? Like to think they'd have plenty of energy, at least the rest of the batting order. Now that's kicked, just bounces in the field of play. A good kick from Hugh Jones. And we have got the, come on the Stormers, says Bruce. This one could have been another momentum shifter had that bounce just out of the field of play. Who do you support in Super Rugby? I don't really have a team in Super Rugby per se, but there's been some good games throughout this round. Come on, Scotland, we Ireland need you to win, says Mr. Michael. And no way, Hamish, India bowling is a problem. Yeah, and their batting got 250 runs. That's a bit of a problem too, I would think. I must say I'm not a fan of the camera angles, says Sean. It just seems to vary from stadium to stadium. I know Italy normally have it from pretty far away, so we'll probably see that for that game up against the English. There is the penalty awarded to France here. Losing the bind and swimming in the maul. So Jalibert will kick this one towards the sideline. Is there a Women's Six Nations competition? There is, and it is coming up in about a month, I think, or in fact, it may even be a little bit less than that. The Women's Six Nations does start up. 1 second, we'll scroll down. The under-20s still have one more round remaining. They are playing alongside the men. And then the Women's Six Nations starts in, where is it? 34 days' time. So actually 5 weeks until that one starts up. There is a game of women's rugby, though, coming up in March, and that is Australia versus Fiji, which is just a random game that's been thrown in there. I'm not sure what game that connects to, because it's not the Pacific 4. That is later on. Or at least I think it normally is. Now running down the wing, Biel Biarray grubbers in behind, and that is the try for Theo Arasogby. Again on the counter-attack. The French have done it. And now both wingers are in for their first tries. So the penalties are to be given up, says Jimbo. It has been something that has slightly plagued Scotland at times throughout their Six Nations campaign, but 12 caps for Theo Arasogby and 9 tries. Got a clinical strike rate, maybe not as high as Biel Biarray. But it's a pass and the momentum. The kick in behind from Biel Biarray and a very favourable bounce of the ball for Arasogby. These guys are deadly, says SoCal dreaming. Yeah, they will know in the back of their minds that 4 tries and a win here secures the Six Nations. They don't even have to worry about what happens in that game next week up against England if that is the case. Of course, they'd love the Grand Slam in that regard. And we have got there, how's your day and the cricket team doing? What happened to earlier this morning? Game was called off, not in the end, so it got delayed for lightning strikes. That Brumbies versus Reds game, and it ended up being a really close fixture between the two sides, 34 points to 31, I believe it was. That kick has also gone over to make the score 14 points to 7 now in favour of France. How quickly a game can have its momentum changed. France 2 tries off, winning the Six Nations now, says South Kid. And still early days, long way to go, says Barbrick. That is true. And this is where Scotland need to break the momentum, though, because if France score again now, then it's going to be a big uphill battle for the Scots at Murrayfield. Now, Dupont just asking the referee about something before going for the box kick. I believe that was whether or not it was inside or outside. I don't think India will hit 200 plus again. I wouldn't be so sure. They've been in pretty good nick with the bat. I'm just hoping that by that stage we will have some energy. It will be 2:30 a.m. Tomorrow morning. So what we would have done by that stage has probably been up for a good 24 hours. Although I might be able to sneak a couple hours in before that match, which will be quite handy. Good afternoon, Hamish. Hours cricket practice. So we did actually have the game yesterday. The team did lose. So now next week we have to win if we want to go through to the semi-finals and rely on another result as well. Now backline movement for Scotland. Oh no, Finn Russell didn't decide to use the backline. He just took the collision. Darcy Graham, little bit slow getting back up to his feet here. And they may have to have a bit of a look at him. Advantage against France. Back to the right-hand side. Sione Tuipulotu. Tackled low by Jagu. Hawaii Kiwis always in bed, says Eric. Well, I know that I probably don't represent most Kiwis. It's currently 3:30 a.m. on a Sunday morning and we are still up. Now, Hugh Jones, big collision with Jalibert, flat run from George Turner, trying to put in a couple of the hard yards here and a huge shot again from, no advantage for Scotland. Now 40 metres out from the line. And this will be a big decision to make for the Scots as they do now go back for that penalty. What happened? It was 7-0, just France's class. It's pretty much, they got a counter-attack going for their second try, and then that first one was just a case of a mistake that took place from Scotland, and France capitalised straight away. And what weird, wonderful, and unusual places around the world are people watching this, says Robert. And French suddenly found their stride, says Ruth. And now Finn Russell, he will kick this one to touch, so that answers that question of whether or not Scotland would look to be aggressive in this matchup. And I think the French dropped Pinot. They are blessed in the backs. Yeah, I mean, Ada Sogby, he's only had I think it's now 10 caps, isn't it? In fact, it might be 12 caps, in fact. And he's just found a way to book himself a lot more minutes in the future. Like you said, Pinot's not playing in the Six Nations campaign. There's a few other big forwards that they haven't got for this campaign as well. And, someone like a Gilliard breaking into the scene and really having a great 12 to 24 months for the French. Now breaking off the back though for George Turner. Inside pass. Kyle Steyn. He'll run down the wing and score it. Scotland off the scrum set piece have got back into this game, much to the crowd's delight. Watching from South Wales, says Angela there. Aberdeenshire in Scotland, says the Fair. But that is a great attacking running line from Kyle Steyn. Scores his 17th try in a Scottish kit. But it's just the way that they got that inside ball from George Turner. France would have been anticipating either the back line to the right or a big forward to attack it. But I think it was Jalange and Ada Sogby both got sold the wrong way. Dupont not quite able to get Kyle Steyn down that wing. And it's a fantastic try from the Scottish side. Well done, Scotland. Keep it going, says Mr. Michael. And that is exactly what they needed in this scenario. They could not afford to concede another try. And instead, of course, scoring one of themselves. Makes this game very intriguing. Finn Russell trying to bring the kick around. It has stayed right though. We'll keep the score as 14 points to 12 of 27 minutes of play. Great fight from the Scots, says SoCal Dreaming. And this is the type of game that they have to be able to dig deep later on too. The benefit that they've got is it has absolutely flown by this first 27 minutes, but it's been played at quite a high tempo for the two sides. Missed kick though, it could be crucial for later on in the game, but for now I think Scotland just having that try, they'll be pretty happy with that. France though, they are looking for a counter ruck here. Scotland inside of their own 22. This is a brutal one for Ben White to try and dig out. He's told to use it. And Jean-Baptiste told to get out of it. Conversion missed away to the side for Finn Russell. I bet if you went to a Scottish pub, you would not understand a word all day. I've been working on hearing a bit of Scottish, though. I probably talk to more Scottish people because the thing is, being in a small town, which has a bit of a farming community, the accent that I haven't quite gotten used to hearing at the moment is Irish. We were fishing, me and George, about 3 weeks ago, and he's got a lot of Irish workers on his farm, so he knows the Irish accent very well. But I was finding it very hard to pick it up. This was a strong Irish accent. And I think I was, leaning in with the ear directed at them, just trying to catch every word. But luckily, George was like, they said this. But, yeah. Scottish, I don't mind too much. I've gotten used to the Scottish accent a bit. Now, George Horn, that's a nice pass off to Darcy Ray. I don't know if that was an intentional pass from Gregor Brown or whether it just slipped through the fingertips and went to the man on his outside, Sione Tui Pelotu. Trying to get that steal in the breakdown for Crew, but told to leave it alone. Now Brown again goes back. Finn Russell, space here on the outside for Scotland. Kyle Steyn just couldn't quite get that next pass away. Now Turner, 30 metres out. Do you see the Reds win? Yeah, it was a big win for them in that contest after the delays of lightning and all sorts. Now away to the left, Gregor Brown. A lot of carries for him just in this last phase of about 9. Now, another advantage. Ball's out the side. It's picked up by France, and they'll go back for the penalty. Plenty of Irish people I don't understand, says Jimbo. A huge tackle from the French. We all know that if France move into full gear, it's game over. And the thing is, it's not just game over, it's Six Nations over as well, if they find that best kind of form. Hamish, do you honestly think Dupont is as good as they say he is? Talking about being amongst the best players ever. The thing is, whether I say yes or no, people will disagree. But I do think Dupont is world class. What he was able to do in terms of transitioning to the sevens, as well as what he has done for Toulouse throughout club rugby. Club rugby is the pinnacle in France. And, certain players find their feet and step up to that next level. And Dupont has done that time and time again for Toulouse. You look at what they've been able to do in Champions Cup campaigns. You look at what France have been able to do in the Six Nations as well. He just controls the game for them. And, we talk about the class of the backline, but the reason those backline players normally get to shine so much is because of how quickly the ball gets into their hands. And they just have all the time in the world to get something going. Hi, mate, says Caleb. Welcome in. As a Northern Scottish, I can confirm the Irish accent is hard to understand, says Mr. Aim. And also, we all know that France, I know I read that one about France finding their rhythm. You're not doing well with your Welsh lessons? No. Welsh is one of those languages that I haven't quite mastered yet. In fact, I really struggle for anything more than... I've got Cymru, though. That's my start. Now looking for the rolling maul here. Scotland getting work towards the sideline, but cutting back in with Tui Pelotu. Short ball to Hugh Jones. Pops it up to Finn Russell. That's very close to Russell on the line. It looks like he's just half a metre short in the end. It was a rough pass from Scotland. About 3 Frenchmen off their feet there in the breakdown. I don't think would be a legitimate turnover if they had it there, but Ben White going off to the left. Okay, they don't have it as a knock-on at this stage for the refereeing decision for now. Jack Dempsey moves that little bit closer. Scotland down by 2 points, but now 5 metres out. Darcy Ray tackled by Gelange. They're going to look to get a little bit of pressure going in every single breakdown. France try and force the error from either the forwards or Ben White. Ball presented back to Matt Fagerson. The crowd again are really loud and proud at Murrayfield. There is a man wide out on the left, and they have got the penalty advantage now, Scotland, so they may actually look to use it. Directional switcher Finn Russell, I believe, will be coming in the very near future. Either that or they'll just fire it wide out right, but there are a lot of players there for the French. Gilliard trying to get that steal. Again, Ben White, that's almost offside from Gilliard, a couple metres from the line. Hugh Jones plays half. Darcy Ray gets that body position low. But again, just inches from the line for Scotland still playing the penalty advantage. Pierre Schoolman, he is over the line and Scotland get their third of the contest to make this one now back in favour of the home side. A huge difference between Glasgow and Edinburgh accents. Glasgow very hard to follow. Very different accents in different parts of Ireland too, says Vintum. Oh, hang on. Oh, okay, that's not what I thought they were doing. They have gone offside, 10 minutes in the bin for France here. I thought they were going the TMO to check whether or not there was a knock on, but that is a big call. And France now will be down a man, and it's Jalabert who is taken off for this French side. Can we actually have a 15-man game just for once? Sadly not. We actually jinxed it in Super Rugby because we had the first match that was no one got carded, and then the second game had about 2 or 3 cards. The next game after that had a couple. And I think this game's probably still got one more maybe in it as well. And yellow beans for Jalabert. And come on, Scotland says clause. 33 minutes in. Scotland now with the kick. Danger Man is out for 10. Yeah, like Jalabert, he is one of the other big reasons why this backline functions the way that it does for the French. But the kick goes over. And that is going to now make the score 17 points to 14. Going to 19 now for Scotland. And also we have got another penalty for being French. There's Eric. Our South Scotland and Ireland accent are easy to understand. It's a North accents which are difficult to understand, says Roy. And after the England game, some clowns are still writing Scotland off. No understanding of psychology, says X-Math. Yeah, see, this game, going into it, it seemed like it was going to be close to 50-50. Maybe you'd say 60-40 in favour of the French. But, like, Scotland, you cannot underestimate a determined Scottish team. And they narrowly got past the Welsh last week. They had to dig deep for that game. They had a brilliant performance up against the English. And now, this has been a pretty handy start. 2 quick fire tries from France in that middle patch. But outside of that, Scotland have controlled, it seems like, a majority of the possession. Finn Russell, inside of his 22, will kick it downfield. Will only find it as far as the 40-metre line. Now picked up down the wing, but a drop ball for Deportier, unable to take it cleanly, and line out chance here for Scotland. Of course, Finn Russell just play pretty handy rugby from that 10 jersey. No Jalabert for the next 9 or so minutes. Might bring a little bit of hesitation into this French back line. And great well done, Scotland. All of Ireland is behind you this week. Yeah, that's the thing. They have to get the win here, Scotland, so that Ireland can still have a chance in the Six Nations. But the exciting part is that France versus England game is the last one of the next round. So because of that, it means that Ireland or Scotland, if Scotland win this game, one of those two sides will be sitting in first place heading into that France-England matchup. I still think it ends in a draw. Would be funny too, says South Kid. Draw would theoretically still keep the Six Nations open. In fact, that would bring still 3 teams the opportunity to be able to win the comp. France win, then what happens? It depends on what they win by. So even France to just win this contest, their points differential is miles above anyone else in this comp. They have got a points differential at the moment of plus 89. So unless there was some sort of massive one-sided game next week, even with just a victory here, France would pretty much have the Six Nations. Now, if they win with a bonus point, which would involve winning and getting 2 more tries, then the Six Nations campaign, no matter what happens last round, it's done. France are champions. So theoretically for the French, they just need 2 more tries. And it would get them... Oh, penalty to Scotland now. It is for coming round the side in the front row. Jean-Baptiste Grue, the man who's been penalised by the looks of it there. Still another 6 minutes remaining on that one. A wire line out for a drop ball. Says random ball. So I think they actually ended up deciding to go back for the scrum as they were given that option. Ball did end up in touch as well though. But it is a good boot to the touchline from Finn Russell. They see it, Ben White. That's to go almost from the middle of that scrum to get that ball, but it did wheel around. Flower of Scotland says Giampolo. The rest got a Scottish top on here, says Stephen Pope. And if France get a point, all they have to do is beat England last game, says Joe. Yeah, so there's a lot of little factors that can happen. But their points differential, they've done the hard work early in the comp, France. Ow, that would have hurt Jack Dempsey's ankle. He ended up getting stuck underneath a rolling maul. Now Tuipulotu, 25 metres out from the line. Trying to go for that big clean out in the breakdown was Louis Bialbiaray. They have to make the most of this one-man advantage. Ben White goes away to Finn Russell. He tries a crossfield grubber, gives it straight to Louis Bialbiaray. And now Ramos will clear his lines from inside of his own 22. Taken on the halfway line by Blair Kinghorn. Running this one sideways. It almost manages to sneak through. He predominantly has played a lot of rugby in France. He's actually teammates with a few of these French players, the likes of Dupont and Gelange. Two-man tackle, driving Scotland backwards. 40 metres out from the line. Tuipulotu almost manages to sneak through. Ben White going right-hand side. Rory Dash, one of his first carries that we've called out in this matchup. And Russell, they have got few numbers left, but deciding to take the big collision instead was Tuipulotu. Now it fires left. Ferguson tackled on the 22. Tuipulotu is so explosive in that tackle. Says Sash. How hard is it to keep your discipline? Very difficult. And I think that it depends on how much you're trying to toe the line. You know, if you're getting into those breakdowns, there's always the chance that you're going to get penalised depending on the interpretation of it. So you just have to make sure you're on the right side of that line in terms of your discipline. That is close to a steal for France, but it comes out the back for Ben White. France currently have only about 2 men defending on the far side, and that is exactly where Scotland go with 4 men on the attack. The pass is missed though. Went in behind, but Darcy Graham off the mark, gets around Dupont, puts in the fend on Bialbiaray as well. And a little knock on the ground from Scotland, coming at the worst possible time. Darcy Graham is too cool, says Sash. He was under pressure there, having to regather that ball after the missed pass. Just does the spin down the wing. All 3 Scotlanders going off. Darcy Ray. And that's going to be for Xander Ferguson. We'll make his way out there now. Looks like you're very angry for me. We're not doing this again, Mohideen. You do it every weekend. I am once again not angry at you. To be fair, you hadn't really said that much in the chat up till that stage. But no, we're not angry at you. We will be if you keep on asking every week if we're angry at you, though. Darcy Ray's put in a decent shift. He's had some handy carries here for Scotland. He probably knew that he was going to be going off around that halfway. But Xander Ferguson now needs to pick up from where Scottish Pack did leave off. They just recently won themselves the penalty, although this one will be the scrum feed for France. Just the 1 minute remaining in this first half. Mr. Darcy says Eric and can't afford the error, says Barbrek. Definitely not while France are down a man. See there, 12 tackles missed from the French after making 91. 39 tackles made by Scotland, missing the 5. And are you angry, Mo? He seems so every stream, says Cited. I fell asleep when it's the Sevens final. It's about 2 days away. They still have quite a bit of time until the Sevens. First match of the Sevens, though, taking place in 4 hours. And Moan, the Scots, says Jimmy. And France looking tired now, says Claus. Now 10 seconds remaining. Big push from Scotland, but they'll be penalised. And now I think if the French are smart, with a man disadvantage and the clock now just hitting the 40 minutes from inside of the 22, you just tap this, boot it into touch. Interesting fact, I used to coach Darcy Ray, says Kerr. Well, he's done all right in this game, Kerr, and I feel like you'd be pretty happy with what you've seen from Scotland thus far. Yeah, quick tap taken and just booting it into touch for Thomas Ramos. Halftime in this contest, 19 points to 14. There's going to be a very interesting second half around the corner. Once again, we will lay it out that if Scotland do lose this game and France get a bonus point, then they win the Six Nations, the French. If Scotland, though, win this game, even if it's by 1 point, it gets very intriguing heading into the last round. If Scotland had the perfect result here, they would win it by more than 8 and also get themselves a bonus point. That would put them to top of the table heading into the final round and heading into that match up against the Irish just next week. But a lot has to go right for Scotland in the second half for that to become a reality. But overall, you'd have to say they have been up for the challenge for this first 40 minutes. The French, they've had 2 very good attacking plays where they were able to score their 2 tries, and Theo Arasogby as well as Biel Biarray. But outside of that, they haven't had a huge amount of the possession throughout this contest so far. We have got there, do you think France win? I think that France can't be underestimated. But Scotland, if they can get the first initial try of the second half, maybe that would be enough. But again, like 2 quick-fire tries from France in 5 minutes is not unheard of at all. And we have got there, same again, Scotland in the second half, says Mr. Michael. And evening all season Inquisitor, welcome in, hope you are doing well. And also we have got there, when last did Scotland beat France? It's been a few years in the Six Nations, I believe. 2022 and 2024, I believe, were both won by France in Murrayfield. I was sure Scotland would be a great wall for us, says Chris Ace. I think that if anyone can hold off the French, it'll be the Scots' stubborn defence, says Sash. And yeah, defence will win them this game. Don't get me wrong, that attack is crucial. What are those? Oh, they're oranges. I thought they were a plate of French fries. Not even like just because of it being the French, but they just look like they had that golden brown look to them. But they got the oranges at halftime. Doesn't matter what grade you're in, you still get those halftime oranges for the vitamin C. Growing up in South Africa with a Scots mum and a Zulu housekeeper, I learned many weird languages very quickly, Afrikaans, Zulu, and Scots, says Robert there. And do you like your coach as Wales? Why is the ref so against France, says Stephen. Unfortunately, they have given him a few reasons to be against them so far. They've done a couple things in their breakdowns which haven't quite been ideal, but the scrums are 50-50 at the moment. Replacements to make the difference, potentially. And I'll squeeze my arms a little bit so that you guys can see the benches for these two sides. Emmanuel Miafu is there for the French as well as that 6-2 split. Demba Bamba comes in at 18 as well as Pietro Malvaka as that 16 option. And Barassi as that number 23. Can also change this game for the Scottish. They have got a few handy players off their bench. George Horn still seems to be a real impact player for the Scottish. Just looking, only 4 penalties against France, though, compared to the 2 of Scotland. So actually a low penalty count throughout that first half. 212 metres gained by the Scottish, but the tackle completion, it's huge at the moment. France having to make 117, Scotland only having to make 39. So you would think at this point in time, Scotland would be relatively fresh heading into their second half. People were saying France are the best even after South Africa convincingly beat them. Recently, why do people try annoy us? Says Kusturi Sharks. $50 on Scotland to win the Six Nations. Come on, prevent the losing bonus point, says Sternay. And also, where's the ref from? The referee is from Australia. So Angus Gardner, the man in charge of this one, and then Brett Cronin on the TMO. Meters gained so far, the most out of anyone is Blair Kinghorn. That number 15 jersey with 50. Ramos actually in second with 35. So it's been a big day for the fullbacks here. Not a big fan of Angus Gardner, says Matt P. And also, if Scots play with the same passion when they beat England, they will. Or they'll win, says World Champs twice there. Yeah, it's going to be an intriguing one. Tackles made. Jagu, has already made 16. Kiwi first timer, says Greek Kratos there. So welcome in. Hope you are doing well. We have got the next round of the Six Nations being covered on the channel as well. And also alongside that, we've got England versus Italy. That is happening just around the corner. That game could actually have a little bit of an implication to it, because we look here at the table. If Scotland win without the bonus point, now, of course, that is the crucial part in the equation. And if France don't get a bonus point from this game, then England, theoretically, if they beat Italy comfortably, could still win the Six Nations, but they'd have to beat France by probably about 30 and beat Italy by about 60, if that was to become a reality. But it can still happen. Actually, scrap that, because I don't think they can win the Six Nations, because if Scotland won this game and Ireland also was sitting on 14 points, no matter what, someone's got to get that victory or the draw. So yeah, England can't actually win the Six Nations from here. Take that back completely. Forget I said it. Just completely delete it from your minds. We have got there, I love Angus. I live in Angus, the land of beef. Gardner talks too much for my liking, says Max P. And I Hamish, busy night ahead. The Six Nations, then late night 7 stream, says Jan Lu. So yeah, there's plenty of action still to come. And that 7 starting up in around 4 hours' time. Opening contest, Argentina versus Australia. Should be a fantastic one. The best place to pull is at a women's football international. It's like 9 women to 1 man there, says Sebastian. We have got there, England will never beat France by a big margin, maybe by a point, says Sided. So yeah, it all comes down to whether or not they can get an absolutely huge win over the Italians, but even so, they still can't really get that Six Nations. Enjoy all the matches. Same to you. And wait for the second half. France will crush them, says Zerok. Way into the other stream. So pretty much what happened was the Brumbies versus Reds game was delayed by about an hour. So because of that, we just decided that like the commentary would get it going another time on the channel for that one. Because that match initially I was going to be sleeping through with the delays. I didn't want to tie up Haino's whole day waiting for that match to get underway. That was potentially going to get postponed again. We have got there, take the try opportunity. Scotland not the goal kicks. Scotland's such a strange team. Consistency is their enemy, says Max P. And we will take a point win versus France, says Sebastian. And Freddie Douglas will be a turnover machine in the second half. Did you sleep? I managed like 1.5 hours of sleep. It really wasn't a lot. But it's going to keep me going until about, must be 16 hours time. So we'll hope for the best. The ref's name is Angus. Is he wearing a kilt as well? Says Tom Butler. He's normally not too bad in Super Rugby, Angus Gardner. It's quite interesting that he is in the Six Nations, though, for this one, whereas we do see the likes of a Nick Berry and those type of referees still refereeing the Super Rugby comp, but obviously they wanted a pure, well, what would seem like a pure neutral in the Australian. Are you doing the women's sevens? Not too many of the group stage fixtures. We have tried in the past, and it's absolutely nothing against the games. Like, normally they're pretty entertaining, but they're always one-sided in the group stage. The sad reality of the women's game at the moment is Australia and New Zealand are that much higher than everyone else that, like, when they play anyone, they normally beat them by around, 30 points, which like gets a bit repetitive. The men's side of things at the moment, though, those games are very unpredictable, which is fantastic news. Definitely when you're running off like 1.5 hours sleep, you don't mind a close game, but a one-sided affair does hurt a little bit. I heard of the Highlanders play. They played the Force in the opening contest of the Saturday. I wonder if Scotland will still be fired up when the second half starts. I think so. I think they'll go into the second half knowing that they've got the man advantage for the first about 2 minutes with no Jalibert on the field. And they will know that this is make or break now. What they do in the next 10 minutes of this contest probably determines who wins this game. Because if they concede early on in this half, I would say that France probably would use momentum and go all the way. Whereas if they end up scoring first, Scotland, I think that the crowd, the passion in this team would almost carry them over. 0-7's too crazy for me. It's normally a bit of a mouthful, to be fair. Like, sometimes I don't get to breathe for like a good minute straight, which is quite difficult. Scotland must win, says Greek there. And also we have got there consistently inconsistent. They are consistent, says Max P there. And also Scotland please win, says Leyland. What is your honest prediction? France by more than 8. I don't think France will win by more than 8, but it wouldn't surprise me if France win and get that bonus point. At the end of the day, they're only 2 tries away from doing so. But at the same time, it all comes down to whether Scotland come out firing in this second half. If it's anything like the first, they can dominate possession. We've got to remember, France will be getting tired, making 117 tackles throughout that first 40 minutes compared to Scotland's 39. So Scotland dominating the possession stat, doing quite nice territory-wise too. 3 tries to Scotland. 2 of those tries, South African people wearing a Scottish international kit, so they still count. They don't rule them out. What team are you on, says Leyland. I get to watch this game as a neutral, which is quite nice. For the sake of the Six Nations, of course, a win for Scotland would be massive, and it does bring a lot more hype and excitement into that last round. But again, what we've seen from France throughout this Six Nations competition, you don't get a points differential of plus 89 from 3 games without doing a thing or two with the ball in hand. We have got there, agree-sided. And it'll be a close game until about 70 minutes, then Cardio will win the match. And subscribe button says Daily TLC. Do appreciate that. Anyone else who is new, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are here for England versus Italy. We're here for the 3 matches of the Six Nations next week. And alongside that, I am also going to be here for the Vancouver Sevens, coming up just around the corner. It's pretty much from 8 a.m. New Zealand time to 6 p.m. Then we are doing the T20 World Cup final between New Zealand and India, and then doing another full day of the Sevens on Monday. Team Kinghorn, says Sash. My frog predicted we win by 10 points, says Chris. If Scotland win, then 3 teams can win it, correct? Correct, yes. So it would take England's hopes out, but either way, England don't have a hope of winning now, the way that it sits. Isn't it snowing in Canada? Is it? Well, that will be an interesting Vancouver Sevens then, if there's a little bit of snow around. Would add a bit more. Would it help with grip on the ball or not really? I guess fingers probably would be hurting a little bit. There'd be some numbness out there. Well, look at this. Vancouver at the moment is cloudy with a little bit of rain, so it will be fine for the Sevens. Probably a little bit slippery though. If Scotland wins the Six Nations, what will happen? They'd win the competition. But like as in like world rankings wise, or just in terms of like just in general? You got to push the lights, mate. I always forget to say hit the like button, to be fair. It's normally only when you guys remind me. So yeah, if anyone hasn't already, hit that like button as well. Have evidence. Hamish support Scotland, says Mohadeen. As a South African Springboks fan, I hope Scotland win by 5 and upset England, lose to Italy. Oh, and upset England, lose to Italy. And there. Okay, so you're going with a 3-horse race for the final round of the Six Nations. The benefit of that game next week as well, like I mentioned, between Ireland and Scotland, is they get to go first. So that will happen before the France versus England contest. And it means that France will then know what they have to do to win the Six Nations. And I think it will heavily influence the way that they actually play up against the English. Because if France know that all they have to do in that contest is, let's just say, win it, they might not go as aggressive as they have some of their other games. Just spent 50 to watch this game, but at least I can watch the Super Rugby again with Stan. Says Robert T. Yeah, Stan Sport is quite good with the fact that they have got a lot of options. Blair Kinghorn's just spat water out on the ground. Hopefully he doesn't slip over on it on his way out the changing shed. No reason why Italy won't beat England. They have been great, says Mike. And also, whoever wins, it's been a great Six Nations, to be honest, says Sebastian. And I think this game just shows, of course, it's early on, still another half remaining, but it shows that for the Six Nations, you can be so dominant throughout the early stages in the case of France, but it only takes one loss to all of a sudden open up the door of opportunity for the other sides. And these bonus points that France have been receiving early on in the comp could be the difference maker, because the current scoreline, the way that it is, it would mean that France only have to lose by less than 7, they'd only have to win up against the English, and that would be enough from receiving a bonus point here. So like I said, Scotland by 8 is the ideal scenario for keeping the Six Nations well and truly alive. But in reality, for Scotland to just win by 1 point here would be a massive achievement for the Scots side. I sent you a couple of picks. Should be working on that. But taking a break, says Kerr. Is that on the Discord? Yep, it is. I do see it there. I just can't get over how... I was about to say how big it is, but then that sounds a little bit suspect. We're looking at a picture of a cruise ship from underneath. It's crazy how that just sits up in the air and they work on it underneath, and that becomes something that sits on the water. Like, even though it is 2026, my brain still can't get around the fact that a thing that big and that heavy floats because of buoyancy and physics and stuff. But second half just about to get underway. Excellent Six Nations series, says Nev. Yeah, it's been a Six Nations for upsets. But one thing that stayed the same so far has been France's consistency of getting bonus point wins. No, says Sebastian, everyone now thinks you're lying, says Kerr. It was a big ship, though, very big ship, which makes it sound like still a code word for something. But kicked off by Finn Russell, forgot his name for a second, but we're back underway in the second half. They are up by 5 currently, Scotland, and they do have a man advantage. What did you eat yesterday? I didn't actually eat a lot throughout yesterday. I had some toast. That was my evening snack, and I think I had toast for lunch as well. I had to get some protein in me at some... That doesn't sound right. Yeah, have some chicken or something. We have got... Yeah, that's what she says, is double fizzle. Now, inside of the 22, And rolling it back, Dupont inside of the 22. Louis Biel-Biarre has been quiet. Yeah, he had that big run down the wing. He's actually also had a couple errors along the way, though, so that might be why. He's had a drop ball. He had a kick that he tried to go in behind and didn't quite get it right. Any changes at halftime? I believe the only change that either side has made is still Darcy Ray off for Xander Fagerson. It looks like everyone else is still out there as they were for the start. Now, ball in the hand of Scotland. Ben White, way to the right. Now, big collision for George Turner. Now, Russell, quick hands there. Blair Kinghorn flicks it on the inside to Darcy Graham. Stepping down the wing, thought about offloading, now gives it off, just delayed it a little bit more for passing it away to Hugh Jones. Now, off to the left-hand side. A few verbal blunders there, Hamish, says Tom. Now, going back across to the left, Finn Russell to Sione Tuipulotu. 20. Oh, that's a really big clothesline from the French, and I think that might be a little bit of a warning for Mofane here. They have already got a man in the bin for another 10 seconds. Speaking of 10, Finn Russell goes across to Hugh Jones. Short ball to Darcy Graham. It's popped back into the hands of Hugh Jones. They'll go back for the initial advantage. Get some whey protein shakes, Hamish, says Sebastian. Hamish, what's going on, bro, says Sash. And what don't you like to eat? Specifically, I'm not a big fan of mushrooms. That's one that came to mind. Oh, France, number 8, HIA. That'll be Anthony Gelange, who has to go off. Seatbelt tackle, that says cited. And Scotland still on it, says Sarge. They know that they're in this contest. And if they can score now, while France are being a little bit ill-disciplined, could make a big difference. But now, it's going to be the change. Nushi comes on for Gelange and mouthguard HIA. Seatbelt's worn on the head, says Eric. And Haggis, says Samuel. And Scotland on fire. Oh, who's Gelange yelling at? Why is he so angry? Settle down, mate. He's not happy. He feels he's going to pass it. He's blaming the mouthguard. I'm surprised he's even still hanging on to it rather than throwing it. Now that one's kicked into touch. And Scotland 5 metres out from the line with a big line-out opportunity here. What's triggering? His mouthguard must have read a signal that said he took a bit of a knock, which he did not look happy about. The mouthguard sensor triggered the HIA protocol. Says Sash thrown in by George Turner, looking straight into the sun. Now France pushing them towards the sideline, but there is another penalty advantage in favour of Scotland. This rolling ball's not really moving forward now, so they've been told to use it. Hugh Jones, 2-man tackled in by Mofana and Adesogby. Russell plays half. It's across to Xander Fagerson, one of his first carries since making his way off of the bench. Still under that penalty advantage here for the Scots. I love the score, says Martin in there. What's the prediction right now from you, says Sean? I did go if France scored the first try of the second half, they'd probably win. If Scotland did, I think it could be a narrow Scotland victory. But we're talking really narrow because France, you'd assume, will find their next gear soon. Ben White, pick and go! And he goes round the side and scores a try for Scotland as they take the lead by more than 7. 15 on the field for France as well, but the penalties have been hurting the French, and the Scottish crowd are absolutely loving it, I should say. Scotland must win, says Martin. The Scots have the French rattled, and yes, says Barbrick, and straight through, says Sash there as well, but it's Ben White with the attacking run, just leaving a gap next to the breakdown. Whose error was this? Oh, everyone ran the wrong way. All the forwards were shifting left, whereas Ben White was looking right and gets through to score another try. And we have got the Adesogby turned his back, says Sash, and that kick has gone over from Russell. Score now 26-14 in favour of Scotland. Scotland are $4 underdogs at this point in time, even though they're up by 12. Surely that's wrong, right? Yeah, surely. Okay, I think that's the initial odds of this match, actually. I was about to say that cannot be in any way accurate in this case. But we see there Pietro Malvac has made his way on. Barassi is there too. And we have got the great commentary says JD. Oh, nice take from Arasogby though. And again, France with the ball, but driven into touch. Scotland have the line out. TB here. No, it's not actually the odds though. I don't believe. I think that they did accidentally have it. Yeah, Scotland $1.60 is actually the odds there, rather than the other way around. Obviously, I had an extra bowl of porridge this morning. South African here, love your work, mate. Says Theo, thank you very much. And of course, we've got a South African derby coming up next week. We are going to be covering on the channel. Alongside that, there is also the Blitzbox Sevens in action in about 4 hours' time. How many times have Scotland lost games they were winning? There's been a few. So this game is definitely not over. Yeah, it's wrong, but don't call me Shirley, says Andy. And France are bad, says Stephen. I still don't trust them. And I will mention that Scotland, with that try, actually bring up their own bonus points. So they're getting at least one from this game. No matter what happens from here. Charles Oliphant, he is off the field. That is for Flamand. Jalibert back out there. Bounce of the ball was not quite where Jalibert would have liked it. Alexander Ferguson claims the ball behind him. Finn Russell goes across to Blair Kinghorn. Oh, a big two-man driving tackle from the French forwards. Little bit of a counter-ruck attempted from Pietro Malvaca. Great commentary by Q, lads. Thank you, Mr. Hamish. Says JD, and terrible by Mofana, turning his back. Says Jimbo. Scotland had a hell of a game versus Wales recently, getting the win from a losing game. They know how to win, says Inquisitor. Nice accent. Says Alan there. Ben White kicks this one. It's going towards the sideline, but Kyle Steyn keeps the ball alive. Tries to fire it back infield. Ben White goes to Schoolman. Trying to go over the top of Mia Fu. There's actually been quite a few changes for the French already, and I think that's just trying to find something to gel and click for this French side. Now away to the right. Tui Pilotu in behind. Now Russell goes across. Darcy Graham. Driven backwards. Now counter-ruck from France. Ball is, where'd that go? I think the ball got sucked up into that breakdown, but now it has dropped back out the back of the Scottish breakdown. Bless you, says Hotline Maple. Was that from that sneeze before, maybe? And Scotland Springboks 14 now kicked in behind. Darcy Graham chasing. Jalibert takes it though. Ramos short side, Bielbiaré. Running down the wing, he is a very influential part of whether or not France can get back into this game. Mofana Miafu fires it back to Jalibert. Now moving across to Barassi in the midfield. Now on the halfway line, Pietro Malvaca with the pick and go. France beat Scotland. Are they jumping to the second rank? I think there are some points available, right, in this contest. Oh, that's a big penalty to Scotland, though. 42 metres out from their own goal line. Penalty one in the breakdown. The French going to do what to the Springboks, says Chef. And also brilliant by Scotland, says Roy. What is France doing genuinely? This is, it's a tough one because this has been completely different from what we've seen from this side throughout their most recent 3 games. Like going into this matchup, they had a points differential of plus 89. They had perfected the points so far with 15. Penalties conceded 7 against France. That has not helped. They will kick this one 22 metres out from the line. That's not a good pen. Angus Scott's also lying in the way, says Sush. This ref needs investigating. Never seen such one-sided ref, says Stephen. And there's no team in the world that can win the Springboks, says Martin. There's some dancing going on in the stands at the moment. He's supporting the French with the kit, but that's the thing. It seems like there's no panic from the French fans, and that just kind of tells you that they know that this side haven't played their best rugby yet. Like, it's a weird scenario to be in, being down by 12, and the crowd don't seem like they're at all, like, worried. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like out of these two sides, the fans in the stands, probably Scotland are the more worried just to hope that their side can get this job done and keep their Six Nations campaign alive. 2-man tackle on Schoolman. France hitting hard, says Sash. And Scotland want a chance. They need to score first, says John. Yeah, they need another one. They are currently sitting up by 12, but sitting up by 19 would sit a whole lot nicer. If you ask Scotland, Ben White ball does not go quite into the hands of Turner. Finn Russell does the big no-look pass over the top. Kinghorn with the offload on the outside to Darcy Graham. He's tackled straight away by Bielbiaré. This is a Six Nations, not sure why everyone keeps on going on about the box. Our games are later. Says Mike. It must be the ref was bought by Scotland. Says Chef. France hitting hard. They've had to make a huge amount of tackles, though. Throughout this matchup, they are up to the 150 mark now, I believe. Finn Russell going for a kick of mine, just trying to play territory. Steep bounce. Bielbiaré takes it inside of his 22. That's a huge kick. In fact, that is a massive kick. In fact, it was almost a 50-22 from Bielbiaré, but claimed by Finn Russell, who has to kick it back downfield into the hands of the French. Looks like Cummings has got a bit of a leg injury now. Jalabert is going to run it back. I think Finn Russell was hoping that they'd go into a kicking battle there. Eventually work it into touch, but instead the French, they have different ideas. Dupont, though, interception pass throw, taken by Kyle Steyn. Foot race between him and Mofana will not win it. Kyle Steyn scores the try, and Scotland up by 17. 30 minutes to go in this contest, ladies and gentlemen. Scotland, they have come to play. Give us one more try, Scotland, says Martin there. And France will win, says Willie. Well, they're making it a pretty decent, hefty comeback if they do. But Dupont just hesitant there with the pass. I'm on the boys, says Sean there, and awesome Scotland. And also Scotland are protecting the ball well at ruck time. Yeah, there haven't been those crucial turnovers that the French are normally able to get. And just out wide, Kyle Steyn, he'll be happy with that. You can see all the sides celebrating in the background for Scotland too. And France look like England at the moment. And they're playing England next week, so that'll be a very intriguing matchup between those two sides. The kick goes over from Finn Russell, adding the additional 2. And now the score. What are they checking for here? No, they're just showing the replay. Never mind, I thought they were trying to get the TMO involved. And Steyn making Mofana look like a prop. Says Jimbo. Yeah, it seemed like Mofana was close enough for a start to at least get a touch on him, but then just pulling away late, Steyn. And the big smile once he knew that he had beaten him too. I just moved to my TV and realised I was like 12 minutes behind on your stream. Still at halftime on your stream. My bad, says John. Now another big run from Kyle Steyn. 33 points to 14. That kick did miss from Finn Russell. Oh, no, it didn't. Never mind. Sorry, 19 points difference. I had to do the maths in my head there for a second. Netty. He's made his way on for Jean-Baptiste Gru. So they are going very reactional in terms of these subs at the moment for France. Just looking to find some way back into this game. Even your scoreboard is confused, not updated, says Mike. Yeah, I think a lot of people are very surprised from what we're seeing here. Now, Ramos. The short ball, now going off to the left-hand side, France. Ramos again, into Mac, or sorry, not into Mac, it was Jalabert, Bielbiaré, cutting inwards. Thought about an offload, but France in the 22 now. Well, there goes my slip, says unidentified user. It is in fact. Oh, penalty to Scotland again. Ramos puts his hand up in disgust at the referee. France get the try, the crowd gets behind them, anything is possible. And come on, Scotland, says Chef. It looks like an injury here, though, for Hugh Jones. The ankle, by the looks of it, the left-hand side. That is the last thing that Scotland need, is if they are to win this game, to lose a player like Jones heading into the next match up against the Irish. And, well, ref is getting petty. Says, I am nutty. We're going to see the replay now. Yeah, so holding Russell in the breakdown is the ruling there as to why the penalty was awarded. That makes sense, says Sash. Your scoreboard is in reverse, Hamish. Say Scotland has 33. And England warning or waning. France failing. I love it, says Red. Are they going to blame the ref? Says Chef. Okay. So Gelange, as angry as he was when he had to go off the field, has actually failed his head injury assessment. So it was the right call, even though he was yelling at absolutely everyone that he could. Hope Garner is getting paid well today, says Bry there. Now thrown in. Scotland take it again. 40 metres out from their own line. Dempsey. Oh, he's fallen the wrong way there. France saw an opportunity to go for a turnover in the breakdown, but it bounces back on the side of Scotland. You can't really grab a player on the breakdown. He's not part of the ruck. Says Sash there. Oh, loose ball. Picked up by Mofanu. Was getting tackled by Tui Pelotu before he even had the ball. Now Dupont goes across to Demba Bamba. Drop ball from Ramos. They're under pressure at the moment, France, but they're trying to make it work. Trying to find that line break. That's a crunchy one on the neck of Ramos as he hits the ground. Dupont looking both ways. Decides right is the option. I don't know why, but it just looks like France don't have that many players out there on the field, or at least in that last play. Jalibert chasing after the chip. The bounce of the ball has not been ideal for that man today. Seems to want to dodge him. Finn Russell. Short ball there. Kinghorn cuts through the gap. Passes on the outside, but he passes the ball into touch. Graham just not quite there for it. Can Scotland win the tournament still? They absolutely can. And currently, the way that it sits, right? We'll go like that. There we go. This is the table before this match. Scotland currently, with this win, would sit top of the Six Nations table heading into the last round. Now, Scotland will play Ireland, who, if they win their game, also have an opportunity to win the Six Nations. But that is all down to whether or not Scotland can hang on here for 24 minutes. Tom Jordan, he makes his way on. One of the earlier changes that we have seen for the Scottish side, with the exception of Darcy Ray earlier. And we have got there nearly, says Jimbo. And we have got there as an Irish supporter. The Scots have a great chance against the way we're playing at the moment, says Boondock. Scotland are doing well, says Hardest. And also we have there France playing like headless, says Dunk. But in terms of that, Scotland are doing well because of South Africa. The thing is, anytime Scotland do badly, it's never mentioned that they're doing badly because of their South African players. But then, as soon as they do well, they all go, so it's weird. Why isn't it that when the South African players do badly, that South Africans call them out for it? It's only when they're doing well that they try and claim them. I don't really get it. Now going high, nicely taken from Darcy Graham around the halfway line. Now away to the left. Ben White going to Finn Russell. Now, ball across Tom Jordan, short from Kinghorn to Tui Pelotu. And next Italy slaughters England. Says Chef, tell you what, it would be quite the round of the Six Nations if that is the case. He said would be correct, says Tyrone. Now breaking through Kyle Steyn again. He needed that next pass to Kinghorn. I don't think he quite linked up with him though. Now Ferguson couldn't get the pass away on the outside to Jordan either. Big late shot there on the halfback White. Now going off to the left. Hamish, bro, don't try and understand us. You'll explode, says Sash. Now inside of the 22 for Scotland. Big two-man tackle on Pierre Skillman. There's an advantage in play as well for Scotland. What if France turn this around though? If they turn it around, then they more than likely, well, in fact, no, if France win this game, they win the Six Nations, because to get back into this contest, they would need more than 2 tries. What line was Kinghorn running? Says Jimbo. Yeah, he seemed to be pretty close behind him, didn't he? We're playing way better without Van der Merwe. They honestly, yeah, they are. Kyle Steyn, based off form at the moment, you pick him every day of the week next week. So you pick him on a Saturday in that case. Right, tackle off the ball. Gardner really starting to hone in on these penalties against the French. And Dupont, he has been told here with a very stiff warning. You know, anything else, probably going to the bin. An advantage Scotland, how many penalties, Hamish, from France? They're up to 10 now, I believe, in this situation. I smell a day of upset, says Reeves, a little bit earlier on in there too. Now kicking for the touch again. I feel like there's a couple nervous moments still to come throughout this matchup. But it seems to be relentless at the moment from the Scottish side. They are going well and truly all out, try and get as many points now as they can and just shut France out of a potential comeback in this match. Now, thrown in, taken again, rolling maul here for Scotland. Is this about to be try number 6 for the home side? Ewan Ashman in possession. France dragging it down 2 meters out. This is going to be a yellow card here, ladies and gentlemen, at least. Listening from Brazil, thank you for the coverage, says Jim. No worries at all, and we might just about see another try for Scotland here. That would secure this game. Darcy Graham up the middle, scores the try. And it's another one. There's a double blow of the whistle. It's going to go from bad to worse for France because they are also going to get sent to the bin for a yellow card. Agano so blatantly a one-sided referee. If he was a swimmer, he'd be going around in circles. But a yellow card on top of it too. 38-14. Who predicted this? Australia go down to 8th in the world. And we have got there, don't throw that Glaswegian determination around. And you son of a gun, Darcy in there. And how does Kinghorn offload that? He spins, up it goes from the ground. You got to have a lot of confidence in your own game there in the case of Kinghorn to be able to do it the way that he did. Money down the drain. Thanks for the lot, France. I suspect this is all part of the French plan. What is going on in the Six Nations? It has been eventful, that is for sure. And now anything can happen. Heading into this last round, ladies and gents. Italy versus England. It won't have too much of an impact in terms of the overall outcome, but that game next week, Ireland versus Scotland. Whoever wins that one will be sitting number 1 on the Six Nations table, heading into that France versus England match. That kick has gone over from Finn Russell. Score at Murrayfield, 40-14. Oh, where's the Greg Townsend meme? Says 1-6-2. And what's the F who's going to win the Six Nations? There will be 3 sides with the opportunity to win the Six Nations competition. 112 years ago, Scotland beat France by 28. They will break the record, says Southkid. Nice take again. Scotland just outside of their 22. How can you not love international rugby seeing this, says Martin Meyer. Well, it just shows, once again, that unpredictability. Heading into this game, all France needed, it seemed, was going to be a bonus point victory, which from their other games, another penalty to Scotland. Oh, France are getting penalised off the park throughout the second half. As it's a first-string French side, this would be regarded as one of their stronger teams, which is what makes it all the more confusing. I just jumped on the watch-along, but what is the score? Well, Scotland says Duncan, and what a game, says DC. This has been a brilliant performance from the Scottish side. There were moments in that first half where it looked like it was about to slip, but since then, pure control, pure possession, and just pure attacking mindset from the Scottish side as well. Meters gained 110 for Kyle Steyn. Just to put that in reality, Kinghorn had 55 at halftime. He's only had another 6 since then. We're seeing Ramos make 19 meters, but Steyn has really climbed the rankings. How much time is left? Still another 19 minutes remaining on the clock here. Can Scotland hit 50? Isn't it crazy that that's even a question being asked here? But they're on 40 already. Let's go. The Scott says, hey, no, cheers for the commentary. Our best match since Archie Gemmell scored versus Brazil. And Scotland, you beauty, quick running, rugby breakdown, protected, perfect handling, super. AB should take a lesson. Never say die French all at sea. Now kick him behind from Finn Russell. And again, just trying to force France deep inside of their own half. Dupont has to claim the ball. He is inside of his in-goal area. What's he doing here, Dupont? That's a forward pass in his in-goal area, and it's a 5-metre scrum for Scotland. Capitulation of Les Bleus here. Angus Gardner smiling about that forward pass. I don't know whether he should be doing that. Obviously, one of the Scottish players had said something to him, you'd like to think, about 5 metres 4 man. Yeah, Dupont having a massive brain fade there. Now what the hell Dupont says, big rig. And Le Brain Fart says, cited there. Of course, Scotland, they still have a man advantage for the next 7.5 minutes here. Schoolboys don't do that. When will I wake up, says Calmac, and Dupont having a nightmare game. And just imagine if Scotland hadn't effed up against Italy. If they hadn't lost to Italy, they would have won the Six Nations right now, right? No. They would have been in a very good position to do so, though. I'm trying to think. They got 1 game or 1 point from that game up against Italy. If they had won it, no, they'd still need the win up against Ireland, right? If my maths does stand correct. Or maybe actually just bonus points from that game. Now going off to the right-hand side. Tuipulotu short ball. Oh, he's hit into the post there for Tom Jordan. But it's another try for Scotland here. 4 pass from Dupont. It was indeed inside of the in-goal area, so it became a 5-metre scrum. And from there, Scotland, with how they've been attacking, they were always going to throw absolutely everything at this line. And France getting battered, says Sebastian. And also Scotland are beautiful today, says Mike. And yeah, Hugh Jones slamming it down. It's good that he is not injured because he did have that ankle problem just a little bit ago. We have got there, this will give England confidence for next week, says Liza. Big time. Although, was that 4 from Tuipulotu? They may check that last pass again. But it all depends on how England play up against the Italians. Damage limitation for France, says Pure Legislate. Sorry, it was Pure Loyalist. Excuse me, in French, says JD. I think France will be quietly confident of coming back here. I think Scotland at 50 points to 3 points away. That's a pretty tough line. And also we have got there Dupont costing his own side. Cannot play backwards. Never ever as good as most of the Springbok, says Roy. This reminded me of Box versus ABs in Wellington last year. We are sleeping on the field. Congrats, Scotland. Nothing to do today. Are you too strong, says Chris Ace. Oh, loose ball, Mofana. Does end up knocking it on. Breaking the line again, this time for Tom Jordan. I kept on saying Hugh Jones, actually, my apologies. It was Tom Jordan who scored it. He's actually on the field for Hugh Jones, I think. I can't see Hamish's mouse. There's worse in Wellington. This is Scotland. Says Tanner and 50 are definitely approaching, says Pure Loyalist. Now Kinghorn sneaking through again. France, the amount of tackles that they've made throughout this game has just completely worn them down. And, I don't think Scotland are done yet. This has probably been the best attacking we've seen from Scotland, I want to say, in the past. I don't even know how long. They're just so lethal in terms of finding those gaps. Hitting the ball up again here for Scotland. Kinghorn having his best game. Yeah, he's having a phenomenal contest because we've got to remember, in that game, was it up against Wales or the week prior? Kinghorn was one of the players who didn't find his stride at all. And it was a question of whether or not those players should be in. That one's gone backwards. Tom Jordan flicks it out the back to Darcy Graham, but not gone. All Blacks record versus Scotland seriously coming to an end in November. And Dupont will never play rugby again. He'll probably play next week up against the English. Now, Jalabert running sideways. Mofana has Adesogbe on the outside, looking to get some meterage. Offload does work out. Adesogbe now, pinning the ears back. Jalabert on the inside. That was almost forward to Adesogbe. Skip pass over the top to Antoine Dupont, who does score the try. Cole staying good pace to almost shut him down. Now, this is quite interesting, ladies and gentlemen, because now you're in a scenario. France getting a bonus point would put them back to the top of the table in the Six Nations campaign, which would mean, theoretically, depending on what happens for Scotland versus Ireland, they may have to do less up against England to be able to win the comp. So Scotland, don't get me wrong, 47 points is absolutely huge, but they really do need to shut down one more try from France. We're going to see this pass, though, from Jalabert. It did look very close to forward. The kick has gone over, making the score now 47-21. Can I say something? Says Mohadin, go for it. Although I hope it's not, are you angry at me? Because we've already had that one today. Our referee has been on Scotland's side, says Powerbite 92. Does that influence the scoreline as hefty as it is? Right, TMO check. By the sounds of it, they do want to make sure that that pass was all right. Dupont did get the grounding. When it's France's forward, says Chris Ace. Right, I think Gardner wants to speed this along. He's saying if it's not forward, get on with it. Looks like Kyle Steyn has got a bit of a knee injury here too. The pass was forward low. Freddie Douglas, he will make his way on. Okay, they're just saying there that Kyle Steyn will be coming off. Okay, they've just said there that Kyle Steyn can't walk. This is bad for Scotland. He has had an outstanding game and definitely is up there for man of the match contender. France still with the 14 men. I forgot that they had another yellow card. Waiting to make his way back on is Nucci. How's Hamish? Amazing game of rugby. I'm in a hotel in France watching, says Jason, and maybe France need Yui Antonio back. Bonus point will tie them, depending on the score at the end of this game for points against and points for, says John. Yeah, but the reality is at the moment, the way that points differential is, like, they're miles ahead. France, even if they lose this game by, let's say, 30, they'd still have the points differential in their favour. So, yeah, one more try here for France. So, Kyle Steyn's actually injured himself trying to run back and tackle Dupont in what looked like a certain try. It just shows how hard Scotland are pushing here, that even when it seems like a try should be scored, he still fought to the last moment, Steyn, and it may have cost him a Six Nations campaign now. Like they're saying, no grimace from Steyn. He is getting stretchered off, though, or at least he's on the buggy. It looks like maybe the upper, maybe thigh quad area is actually where he's got discomfort, Steyn. Giving the crowd a big round of applause. They are giving him an even bigger one for what he's been able to do throughout this contest. 2 massive tries and a massive shift put in by that man. We have got there Scotland for a win. It's a nice surprise, Hamish, says Danielle. And also say England are pretty much cooked when winning the tournament, basically. And beat Ireland and we go second, says Pure Loyalist. But too much on that kick from Scotland. Goes into the in-goal area, but Ramos will kick this one into touch. The defence is rock solid and the attack is fast and furious, says Hardis. And also Scotland can still lose this. Surely not. 13 minutes left. They are just showing the live standings. Scotland sit number 1 without France getting that Six Nations bonus point. And that was what I was referring to before. If they get themselves one more try, Scotland will drop back to second and France will take the lead due to points differential. And then that means whatever Scotland do up against Ireland, France need to do just a little bit better. Or vice versa, what Ireland do up against Scotland to a certain extent. Although France would only then have to beat England. Line out throw now. Johan Ashman slapped away by France, managing to get the steal. Antoine Dupont inside of the 22, fending off Johan Ashman, trying to set this one up again. Big wide cutout pass goes to Jalabert. Numbers on the outside. Theo Adesogbi in the wide channel. King Horn does make the tackle low. Theoretically, if Italy win by 13 plus, what would that do? Not a lot. Other than put a little bit more chance of a third place finish for the Italians. Now Nushi still waiting to come back out onto the field. Demba Bumba, that looked like an off or maybe a knock on the ground there. 40 metres from their line. Well, Scotland says cover, and that's fine. At least the French ego is popped, says Jose. Now short side, quick hands out to Barassi. Why is Scotland so good now? They dominate England and they completely decimate France. Our All Blacks best team couldn't even do that, says Tanner. And once again, it just hurts for the Scottish to have lost that game to Italy in the narrow margin. The opening round of the Six Nations, had they won that, it could have been a different story. Mia Fu, nice little loop around play from the big lock. Trying to jump into that breakdown was Bayliss again. Now short ball, feeding him through a gap, no offload ability. Due to the hands of Scotland right on the ball. Jalabert delays the pass out on the outside. Louis Biarré goes for his chip in behind, the classic one that he tries time and time again, but he's kicked it straight into touch. France still, they just need one try. Yep, and that will be the goal now for France. They'll go, this game is done, but we can still get that bonus point. That would then make it a little bit easier for their game next week, because theoretically, that would also mean that all they have to do is beat England if Scotland were just to beat Ireland without a bonus point. When it's the Italy versus England match, that match has taken place in 45 minutes time, so not too far away at all from that match getting underway. No way Scotland can hold off a try for 10 minutes, right? Well, they've done it pretty well throughout the rest of this match. Baptiste Serran has made his way on. That is for Dupont. Did score that last minute try, but definitely not his best performance we have ever seen. And Scotland 42, Ireland 15 predicted, says Porter. It's going to be a long 10 minutes, says Mr. Michael. And Scotland can't even hold off eating chips for 10 minutes, says Big Rig. Now ball's there for Scotland. Sitting 22 metres out from their line. Oh, that's a massive shove from the French, forcing Scotland backwards. That ball's tied up. Is it going to stay in there? Just about. Yes, it is. Brilliant. Rolling more defence from France, who now have an attacking chance inside of the 22. Where's that? How much must they beat England? Italy, at this stage, just winning up against England will put them a little bit more in contention. As you can see, they're both on the 5 points. So, theoretically, 2 wins from here for the Italians would actually get them 3rd, I would say, in the overall standings. Rough. Or, no, actually, that's a lie. They might actually still end up being 4th in the standings department. They do play the Welsh in the final round of the Six Nations taking place next week. Scotland won't win in Dublin, says John. They weren't really given much of a shot to win here, though. $4 underdogs heading into this contest. Now, of course, Murrayfield's a bit different, but Wales almost won in Dublin, so that's something to think about for the Scots, I guess. Now, ball's going to be fed back. Baptiste Serron, his 21, who is fresh after taking the 10-minute break to go back out there. Jalabert moving it across. That's a bad call there from the French. They go for a kick in behind. They seem to be trying to force it with these little chip kicks, little grubbers. None of them are really paying off at this point. And I think by now Jalabert should know the bounce of the ball is not going his way. He's had a couple go over his head with an awkward bounce when he's done a chip. But it just allows Scotland to just reset and try and find that momentum again. Now kick downfield from Finn Russell. Almost out on the full, but it turns out to be a very nice kick. Wales still have a chance to win next year, says Kermit. Now we have got the Irish injuries. We'll hit Ireland. And I mean, France says Mohadin. They're just showing that kick from Russell. It was optimistic from Russell to go that close to the sideline, but he backed his ability to be able to drop it just in the field of play. All chance there for Freddie Douglas, normally a turnover machine, but now he's given away the penalty for leaving his feet. Looking to steal that one again for Scotland in the breakdown. They have to hold on for 8.5 minutes if they want to stop France from getting that bonus point. Goal shot, Russell was good. And goes Scotland, says Gerhard in there. And Ireland have 8 changes versus Wales in Dublin. That'll be the full squad next week, says DPG. Number 8 not rolling. Now, Jalabert kicks it into the 22. Hold the line, says Gerhard. Ayan Crowley's penalties on goal is pathetic, says Porto. And also, I mean, how much do France need to win against England? Depends on how much Scotland or Ireland win up against each other. Six Nations so funny. Different teams are just bogey teams for each country. Scotland for England. England most fortunately. Scotland for France, Ireland for Scotland. Makes it such a great comp. Yeah, there's always the upset along the cards or somewhere in the competition. And, you know, Italy getting that win over Scotland in the first round is also one that, was definitely a monumental moment. Oh, ball stolen by Scotland again. Just a couple metres out from their line. Could have been a knock-on advantage, but I don't... Oh, yep, now they've got the knock-on advantage. George Horn, though, will just look to kick this one into touch. He didn't speed up the French just then, says Hanoi. And 8 minutes of super defence. All decided to take their one quickly, going to Jalabert. And France know that they need a sense of urgency for the final 7 minutes in this match. Would New Zealand beat either of these two teams? Very hard to tell, because up until this match, everyone felt France would beat Scotland. So, you know, it's very much so depending on the day, it would seem. But Mo Farah, 10 metres out from the line. Pick and go there from Baptiste Serron. Scramble defence from Scotland, knowing how crucial the 6.5 minutes can be for their Six Nations campaign. Because if they went into that next game up against the Irish, leading this game currently, no, never mind. That one's gone over. Ramos scores. That makes the last round that much more intriguing. And it seems like there's a little bit more urgency from France as well to keep on trying to score points. Because theoretically, if they get within 7, which would be 2 more converted tries, they would also get another point from this game, which would mean all they would need is a win up against England and they would win the Six Nations competition. Non-match for the French. Mofana cost 4 tries all by himself. Says super fast. Why did they put Mofana back in rather than... Who was the fella last week who was playing in the number 12? Oh, sorry, the week prior playing at 12. He was going all right from what I saw. Missed kick from Ramos, making the score 21 points difference at the moment. 47-26. Great Six Nations. The changes should have been done much sooner, says Cameron. Like they've said, they'll leave Murrayfield with at least a point. 2 converted tries would get them 2 from this game. No, everyone. I knew the Scots would dominate, says Regan. I did actually, I know I shouldn't have, but I had to start this comment at the start. 47% of the poll think Scotland are going to win. What are you guys smoking? Well, they were smoking, obviously, the winning side, because Scotland here, 21 points up. And there was also France will crush them. I like to star a few of the ones that have like bold predictions, just because if it ends up paying off, I like to show them as well. But in that case, those two, sadly, it didn't quite go the way that they were after there. 4 tries in 4 minutes for France to win, says Southkid. That would be quite the tricky task. Their 7 side may have been able to do it in the 4 minutes of play, but for Les Bleus here, I'd say it's too little too late. Oh, interception though for Scotland, although no matter what happens here, they cannot actually get themselves more points. They can get a better points differential though. I just don't know what planet is this. They've got Scotland $4.20 to win. It's not even mathematically possible. Well done, Scotland, says LJ the man. Now George Horn. Way to Rory Darge. Across to Fagerson. It's been solid since he made his way on. Seemed like it was a good switch at the time for Darcy Ray going off. Not that Darcy Ray did anything wrong. It was just more so they wanted to keep their momentum flowing in their scrums as well as for the props. I did not watch the chicken and amazing, says Muttering John, and it's another penalty to Scotland. A little bit of afters there from Pito Malvaka showing frustration and go for the 50. The thing is, going for the 50 could actually be either going for the corner or going for the 3 here. And it looks like the corner is the option that the Scots have decided on. Yeah, but we are playing a France B team, says Kiwi Rob. For France getting that bonus point has ended the Six Nations, in my opinion, says Big Rig. Yeah, that one has really cost Scotland. And looking at this match as a whole, like, they would probably say that's their biggest regret. Oh, okay, no, they are going for the... They're going for the 3 points. I don't know if that's the right choice either in this scenario, because you have a very high likeliness that the points differential is going to come into play heading into the next round. So I would have thought 7 would have been the better option, but I think Scotland are happy with the lead that they have. Sitting here points differential-wise, currently, if this kick goes over, France will drop down to a 65 points differential. Scotland would bump up to 32. Oh, in fact, no, sorry, they'll be up to 35. So still a 30 points difference. So I don't know. Is this the right choice from Scotland? Or should they have kept that pedal down and kept on working for more? They just want the 50 on the board. They do. But if points differential comes down to it next week and France lose by a similar margin, Scotland win by a narrow one, it might still sneak it for France in points differential. That kick has gone over though. The 50 has been put up. I'm not sure when the last time was that Scotland scored 50 points up against the French. On 50 on France is first for the Scots. I beat France, sorry, says Big Rig, and I think 50 is just a mental thing over France, says Cited. And Ireland have an extra day after playing half the B team. We will turn up rusty already, says DPG. The best Six Nations I've ever witnessed down to the wire, says David. Yeah, it's been competitive right the way through, and even like the lower ranked sides have had some brilliant games. All quick, they're taken by the French, looking to cut down on this points differential. Ball on the outside to Mofana. Cuts back in. Beautiful play from France. Oh, his foot was in touch. And I think they'll have to check this one. There's also a yellow card for Scotland. Cynical by 21 on the floor. Did he keep his foot off the ground and Jagu down the wing? But now that points differential has gone more in a way in favour of France because of that try, cutting it down to 19 difference. And that kick has gone over too, cutting it down to 17. But just a quick fire play. It was cynical on the ground from 21. I thought that Jagu's foot was in touch here. They haven't even checked it. It looked like the way that he... Oh, no, maybe just stayed in fact. My apologies. They're going to show the replay now. Jagu on the outside. Oh, that foot goes very close to brushing the the sideline. Probably worth a look, to be fair, but let's play on. 50 points to 33. What a crazy scoreline. 83 points between these two teams. Insane. But one of these two sides will be that much more happy. And that is, I'll tell you what, France are going for another attack here. Seems like both sides are starting to tie with just 50 seconds remaining on the clock now. Where was the defence? The defence was scrambling and they couldn't quite get where they needed to. Now out to Biarray, cutting back in off the wing. France wake up. They have seemed to, but they just left it too late. Second half-wise, I think these two sides, I think it's still 1 try extra for Scotland, right? Or is it 2 tries extra for the Scots here? It might be an extra 2. But France have looked better. They just waited too long to find their stride. Give this dude a like for the commentary, guys. Says Richie, anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to hit that like button and also subscribe. We are going to be back next week for the all-crucial games of the Six Nations comp. We are also just close to 80,000 subscribers. We're ticking close. So if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Jalabert goes to Arasobi. He's just broken his own ankle when he tried to do a step. Has slipped over and didn't make too many meters. How'd you rate the defence on both sides? Scotland defence hasn't really had to do a lot throughout this game. Don't get me wrong, France have had a few attacks, but I believe France have made an extra about 150 tackles on top of what Scotland have for this game. And at times, France, I don't think you can praise the defence that much when they've conceded 50 points. Oh, looking for the steal on the breakdown for Xander. He's told to get out of it. The Grand Slam is now gone, they have said in the commentary box. Is the Six Nations also gone? That's the big question. Inside pass to Jalabert, offloads to Biarray. It's another try for Ramos to close out the game. So France in the end will only lose this game by 10 points, 50 points to 40. No one was predicting a scoreline like that. Don't get me wrong. Maybe people were saying Scotland by 10, but they weren't going Scotland to bring up the half century and France to only be 10 behind them in this case. Okay, 50 to 40 doesn't sound as bad. It sounds bad for the defences, to be fair, but this is an insane scoreline. Like, really insane. But it's the Six Nations summed up for what has happened throughout this competition. It has been so unpredictable. It has been so incredible to watch. And there's still another game in 30 minutes' time. Are they going to play forever? Says Jan there, but the end of the game. In France, they were actually, or was it 30? No, they got 40 in the end, didn't they, rather than 50-38? We have got there 50-40. Says Southgate in great game. Scotland, says Barbrick, and Scotland need to really look at how they went from 47-14 to an end result like this after controlling the whole game. Luckily there isn't 5 more minutes, says Kerr. And yeah, that is the one part of Scotland's game that does sneak in quite a few times, is that late comeback from their opposition. But now, Scotland versus Ireland next week. That will be happening before France versus England, and that will help determine who is sitting number 1 on the table heading into the final match. But like I said, we've got 50 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. 30 minutes, in fact, until we start up that next live stream taking place between England and Italy. If it's anything like this game, it will be a pretty unpredictable one. The underdogs, Italy. They would have watched this game and felt like there was more of a chance now up against this English side. But tell you what, Kyle Steyn, he's got man of the match, but how injured is he? I don't see him out there walking around. He did go off the field on a stretcher earlier. But he is one of those players that they will certainly want to have up against the Irish next week, as he can be an absolute game changer. Scotland crumbled, says Kerr there. Although they did the hard work early, and that is where the side will be extremely proud. 50 points put over the French here. Massive smile on the face of Tui Pelotu as well. The 7% Scottish in me is proud. And Stuart Hogg wishing he wasn't Right now, I bet says Kyle Hill, and it's probably up there with one of the best performances, and I bet both outsiders today to win, says Richard. And it's a great for the Six Nations, no easy games. And yeah, it just means that last round means something, right? Because had France won this game with a bonus point, last round, some people probably wouldn't have even been watching, but I can guarantee you now, there will be bums and seats at the Aviva. There will be people glued to their televisions all around the world, because this is going to be quite the finish to what has been quite the competition so far in general. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We might even have time to get a little review going of this contest too. But crazy game of rugby, crazy way to start this day of the Six Nations, and still a lot more excitement to come just around the corner. But we will see you all in 30 minutes time for that next stream. And yeah, we'll see what happens for England versus Italy.